Now let's go live to the White House, where President Trump is participating in a bill signing in the Oval Office. Let's listen in.
Boy, oh boy, it's nice to have Rand. It's a good thing to have Rand if he knows what's important. Eric Schmidt has been an incredible senator, wherever you may be, Eric. He's tall enough. He's usually not too hard to find. And Bernie Moreno. Is Bernie here?
Yes, sir.
Where's Bernie? Hi, Bernie. What a job, right?
Absolutely.
So how's the race going in Ohio?
You're very popular there, and you'll drag every Republican
I
across the
hope
finish
so.
line.
Well, I love Ohio. We won by a lot, but you ran an incredible race. It was.
A big assist.
They weren't giving him a big chance, and he ended up winning quite easily, right? So
Thank you.
It was great. We're also pleased to be joined by Representatives Lisa McClain, Jody Arrington, and Jody. Where's Jody? Jody?
President.
You're doing a great job, Jody.
Favorite budget chairman.
Andrew Garbarino, Laura Lee, thank you. Riley Moore, a newcomer who's doing really well. Guy Reschenthaler, Derek Van Orden, as well as Angel Sister Chris Story. You know that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And we appreciate it, Chris. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
For more than, thank you very much. Appreciate it being here. Gone through a lot. For more than 100 days, congressional Democrats tried to block all funding for the Department of Homeland Security in a reprehensible attempt to throw open the borders of the United States of America. They want to drag us straight back to chaos and crime. The crooked Joe Biden administration, one of the most corrupt administrations, probably the most corrupt ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we're not going to let them do that. I have to say that Washington just had some crime numbers out, and it's the lowest number, best crime numbers we've had, they say, in 58 years. So we went from being a crime-ridden city, our capital, being a crime-ridden place, to being among the safest cities in the country. I'm so happy. And you're big beneficiaries because most of you live here. You hear all the time, the press, the media, and even actually some of the media, a couple of people that I would not suspect, a couple of people truly treat me unfairly, but they came up and they thanked me because it's so much. We have a safe city now. We also have a beautiful city. We had 22 fountains. Every one of them didn't work. One of them, probably the best was one that hasn't worked for 50 years. That was about the best. They've all been out of commission for 50 years or more. Can you imagine that? They were graffiti strewn, grass growing through the cracks, and they were in terrible shape. And all 22 have now been opened, and the most magnificent possibly of all, the one in front of Union Station is beautiful. You see that? It was all graffiti all over the place. We, through a lot of work, we got it looking maybe better than it was the day they put it in. But the one that they're all talking about is the almost 2,500 foot long. That's taller than any building in the world, actually. There's no building that's 2,500 feet tall, I don't think. But it's like twice the height of the Empire State Building, as an example, and much wider. So we just got that open last night. We went to do it before July 4th, and it is incredible. It's called, it was originally called, 1922 it was built, it was called the Reflecting Pond, or the Reflecting Lake, some people called it. But it was supposed to be a reflection. It never worked from 1922 because there was stone on the base, and no matter what, it always leaked because you have stone and you have lots of crevices. We have nice stone out there, but if you go between the stone, it leaks. And so it never really worked very well. And it was a bad color. It was gray. It's concrete and stone, so it's gray. And I had the idea, along with some great people that worked for us. Doug Burgum is fantastic. His group, Greg, everybody. And we worked very hard. But it was going to cost $400 million, and we did it for about $10 million. It was going to take 4 years to build, and we did it in like a month and a half. And we would have had a construction site out there for years, and it wouldn't have worked when they built it. So when they told me what they were going to do, I said, that's not a good idea. So I built many swimming pools as a builder. I built hundreds of them. And I got one of our contractors, I had him take a look. And he said, oh, we can do a great job. If you could just give us a decent surface. The surface was inside, so we sandblasted the surface. We fumigated it. We took out 11 dumpsters, big dumpsters, full of garbage. It was all garbage, and some of the garbage was there for years. It was all disgusting, and it smelled. And anyway, we took 11 dumpsters of garbage out. With shovels. We had a shovel inside of what's called a pool or a lake, and got it cleaned. We then fumigated it. We then sandblasted the entire thing. We washed it, cleaned it, scrubbed it, sandblasted it. Then we gave it a test. Then we rinsed it out, and we gave them a beautiful surface. And then they put a swimming pool topping, but industrial strength. It's industrial strength. It's used for tanks and lots of other things to hold water. And we worked out the ratios of expansion and contraction because, you know, believe it or not, when you have something that's 2,500 feet long, there's tremendous expansion. And who would think of this? Only person that does it, like me. And they have a lot of expansion and contraction. So when we're putting the surface down, would leave areas that can expand and contract a little bit because it expands over 1.5 feet. Can you believe it? So I would have ripped it apart. So we left areas of expansion and contraction. We were testing it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It works great. And we just opened it last night, and people are going wild over it. So it was going to cost $400 million, and we did it for 10, probably 10, if you take away a couple of things. We did a much bigger job than originally planned, because once we put that in, it looked so good. The sidewalks outside didn't look good anymore. You know, they looked like they were in good shape. But when you do something new in this business, you do something new, the thing that you thought were good, you save it. So we ended up sandblasting, steam cleaning and sandblasting the sidewalks around it. And we had a lot of areas that were in bad shape. We had to fix them. We patched them, and you can't even see the patch. We have granite surrounding the pool, and the granite's great, but it was filthy, dirty, disgusting. And it was broken in some cases. We were able to carve out pieces from other pieces that were identical and put them in, and you can't even see the seam. And it's like a beautiful, it's in better shape than it was when it was built. I told you, from 1922, it never worked because it always leaked, because it had a stone base, the water leaked through the stone. So we're very proud of it. It's going to be great. Now we're doing a new surface on the World War II fountain because the surface is so bad. And that'll be done during the next couple of, we're going to start it in a week or so, finish it very quickly. But we've done a great job. And the city is, everyone's coming up to me saying, the city is so beautiful. So we have 22 fountains that none of them worked. The earliest, I'm telling you, is 50 years. For 50 years, some of them haven't worked for 100 years. But we have fountains that were not working and were disgusting and dirty. And they're all beautiful now, every one of them. We also took care of a lot of the monuments, not fountains, but monuments, and they're all in good shape. Some of them are being finished up now, and it's incredible. And my goal was to get it all done along with Interior and others that worked with us to get it done before the July 4th date. July 4th was a very important date, so that was the date we looked at, and we did a hell of a job. But everybody's looking at that reflecting pool. They can't believe it. Reflects. We used a dark blue. It's called American flag blue. I wanted to go light, but they said, sir, light doesn't reflect. And light shows leaves and garbage if garbage. One man said, sir, when you leave, it'll be strewn with garbage again. And you don't want that. See, when I'm here, it'll be perfect. But when I leave, I said, you're right about that. You're probably right, depending on who's president or who's running it. But it's really beautiful. It's something for you to see. It's incredible. It's the longest pool in the world by 3 or 4 times. It's really pretty amazing. That's where Martin Luther King made his great speech. And they say he had 1 million people. And I made a speech there for July 4th a few years ago. And they said, and I was packed. And they said, I had 25,000 people. They said he had 1 million. But when you look at the picture, I said, well, wait, the people were even tighter at mine. I had more people than him, but they said I had 25,000 and he had 1 million. But I'm not going to argue with Martin Luther King because I like that. But the Secure America Act provides $38 billion to ICE, $26 billion to Border Patrol to ensure these critical law enforcement agencies have the necessary resources to do their jobs, protecting our borders and getting criminal aliens out of the country. And starting on day 1 of my administration, we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, and open border people out of this country. We got them out. I'll give you an example. In Washington, over 5, I don't even know if you know this, it's not just police. You have criminals, you have career criminals. There's nothing you can do to make them nice. They're tough people, they're bad people. Some of them had records, 22, 23, one had 28 arrests, and rough arrests for murder. And we took out almost 5,000 people out of Washington, D.C. And if you remember, so 2% of the people create 91% of the crime. When you hear that number, it's great. I love that number because you can handle 2%. That's right. If it's 91 create 91, that's no good. Too many people. But 2% of the people, and we took 5,000, almost 5,000 people out of Washington, D.C. They'll never come back. In addition, the National Guard, and we worked with the police department, law enforcement was great. And we have a very safe city. Everyone's going out to eat now. Restaurants were all closed. They were all closing. The few that were open were closing. And now you can't get a restaurant in Washington. Everyone wants to have a restaurant. And it's a whole different. So it's something we're very proud of. New Orleans, the same thing, by the way. It's a little earlier in the process. But if I got a call from your governor, I got a call from Steve. And they called me together, actually, and they said...
Safest Mardi Gras?
They said, we've never had a Mardi Gras like that. They had the lowest crime they've ever had in the history of the Mardi Gras, which has been going on for a long time. They usually, Steve said, they usually have numerous numbers of murders. And they had none, but beyond murders, I heard it was the best you've ever had. Right?
It really was. A great Super Bowl, too. That you were at.
And Memphis, and that's going to be great for the Super Bowl, because we'll keep it that way. I think you're bidding on the Super Bowl coming in
2031.
Yeah, and it's going to be, now you can really say it was a safe city. And the other one is Memphis. Crime is down 77%. Can you believe it? People are calling me up, friends that were leaving Memphis. We're all leaving, and now they're staying. And the governor's, everyone's thrilled. It's amazing. And if they would call me for Chicago, we'd straighten out Chicago so fast. We'd straighten out New York fast. We'd straighten out Los Angeles fast. We do it really well. And part of it is you have to get the really bad ones. You have to get the career criminals out, because they'll hit you hard, and they ought to get rid of, by the way, cashless bail. You ought to do that as soon as possible. Mark Wayne? That's right. Where they walk in, they commit a crime, they go out, in the afternoon they commit another crime. And sometimes those crimes are murder.
Right back on the street, that's right.
Cashless, I'll tell you what, cashless bail was a tremendous help to criminals. It's one of the greatest things that ever happened to a criminal. And they ought to end it. In every city, they ought to end it. Chicago, New York, LA, they ought to end it. Starting on day one of my administration, we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, open border in the world. We had the most unsafe border, I believe, anywhere in the world. And the numbers came out 2 days ago that for 11 months, not one person came into our country illegally through the southern border. We had 25 million people come in over a 4-year period. We have it good. And nobody tries to come in. All the caravans, I came up with the name caravan. You'd have 25, 30,000 people coming up, and they'd pour through the border. You've seen the scenes where they're knocking over the fences. Very, very bad, very dangerous situation. We don't have them anymore because they know they can't get through. So when they know they can't get through, they don't come. And a lot of lives are saved. Women were being raped on the journey up. They were being raped in numbers. 25, 30% were being raped coming up. You don't have that anymore because they don't come up in caravans anymore because they know they're not going to get through. So starting on day one, we took the most dangerous and unsafe, violent, open border in the world, and we created the most secure border anywhere in our country, probably one of the most in the world. I believe it was the most insecure and unsecure border anywhere in the world, because there's no country, even a third world country, that has a situation like that, where you'd have criminals just walk across totally unchecked. They had the Biden, it wasn't Biden, he didn't know what the hell was going on. It was people that are radical left lunatics who were very smart, very violent, very vicious, politically vicious. And they allowed this open border policy where millions of people came into our country, unchecked, unvetted, people from jails, people, drug dealers, people from mental institutions. Jails and mental institutions from all over the world were emptied out into our country. And we've got a lot of them out. We have a ways to go. It's very tough with the courts because the judges have been very terrible. They've been terrible. Very sad. But we're fighting our way through it. We have made this in fact, we've made it a country that, as you saw last month, they said we had the lowest murder rate that we've had in 125 years. Think of that. And that's despite the fact, because we got a lot out, but we do have more. We had 11,888 people come into our country who committed a murder. 50%, more than 50%, created more than one murder. Think of that. So you had people coming, I think seven murders. We allowed them into the country. We got most of them out. In the last 12 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted into the United States. We cut the flow of fentanyl across our border by almost 60%. Think of that. And by the way, coming in by sea, 97%. And we're looking for the 3% because we think they're among the bravest people. We cut them down, right, Mark? Yes. We cut it down 97%. And now I hate to tell this to Mexico, but we're now focused on coming in by land because the sea was tougher. A lot was coming in by sea, a much bigger percentage than anyone would know was safer for them. It used to be said not safe anymore. But with 97% down coming in by sea, by ocean, by water, and you see what happens to them, and they don't do it a second time. They were totally unchecked. When they did capture somebody, they'd bring them in, they'd book them, and then let them go, and they'd go, and they'd be back on their boat the following night. So we're doing a great job. In the last 12 months, the numbers have changed in this country like nobody's ever seen before, but 0 illegal aliens have been admitted. And that's made by largely Democrat people. Those lists are made. And I find it hard to believe when I say 0. There must have been some, but they say 0, and it's very close to 0. It's hard to believe. You look, they used to have that certain areas on the other side of the wall. I built over 1,000 miles of wall. Without the wall, you couldn't do it. But I built over 1,000 miles of wall. We're building more now in certain areas where you need it. But nobody's ever seen anything like this. They had plazas where you'd have thousands of people standing in those plazas. They actually made them out of concrete because the land was so disgusting and dirty, and it was so muddy and horrible. So they put massive concrete plazas on the other side for people to wait getting in. There's nobody on them. There's nobody. They took a picture this morning. There was nobody on any of the plazas. They have 4 of them, big ones, where they come and stand by the thousands. There was nobody on the plaza, so it's really amazing. I want to speak about it in my speeches. I made a speech last week, which is really wonderful. Wisconsin. That's right. And I wanted to speak about the great job I've done on the border. And my people said, "Sir, nobody cares about that." I said, "What do you mean?" I got elected on that twice, actually, because I got elected the first time in 2016, and after I left, it became horrible, horrible. Second time was far worse. What it was in 2024, it was so bad, far worse than 2016. 2016 was like a pleasure trip by comparison to what it became. It became worst in the history of the world. I don't think there's ever been a border where 25 million people came across, all unchecked and unvetted. You should never let that happen. We can never let that happen, what happened to our country again, because no country can stand it. No country could have withstood what these people. We had a border czar who never saw the border. We had a border czar who never once the people that were giving good paychecks to. They never called up ICE. They never called up the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal people, by the way. She never once called them. She was the border czar for 4 years, almost 4 years, and she never went to the border, and she never called up. I used to call them all the time, Paul, Brandon. I used to call him all the time and say, hi, how we doing on the border? Sir, we're doing okay. But they're great people, amazing people. She never called them. We had the worst border, I think, of any country in history. No third world country would allow people to come into their country like that. So the bill provides crucial funding for domestic law enforcement investigations and combating child exploitation, continuing our work to restore law and order across our nation and to protect America's youth. We're so proud. We're so proud of Washington, D.C. and the National Guard, the job they've done. And we've worked with the Washington, the Capitol Police. They're great people. I've gotten to know so many of them. Very simply, the radical left Democrats, and I'm going to use that term a lot because they're dumb. I mean, who wants open borders? Who wants transgender mutilization of your child?
All right, you've been listening to President Trump there speaking before signing the Secure America Act. I want to go live to Washington and CBS News political reporter Zak Hudak once again. Zak, can you tell us more about this bill that the president is about to sign today?
Yes, Mugo. This bill really is a reconciliation budget bill, but the key thing that it does is it funds Customs and Border Patrol and funds ICE and the rest of DHS, which was stuck in a 76-day shutdown, frankly, because of many of the things the administration did. We saw that major presence from CBP and ICE in Minnesota that resulted in part in the death of 2 Americans. That, coupled with a lot of the images of the deportations, really rallied support in Congress, particularly among Democrats, but even among some Republicans, and made it very difficult for the administration to get this bill through. The way they were able to do it in the end was passing it not simply as a DHS funding bill, but as I said, bundling it into this larger budget reconciliation bill. And what doing that does is it allows in the Senate, it allows them to pass the bill with just a simple majority, with just 51 votes. Whereas passing a typical bill, in order to get past the filibuster, you need a 60-vote threshold, which was frankly impossible with everything that was going on and all of the images that were constantly playing related to the president's operations in deporting migrants out of the country.
Yeah, and Zach, we know Democrats, they held up this bill for a very, very long time. They said they wanted reform, especially when it comes to ICE, in light of those deaths of American citizens you mentioned. Did they ultimately get anything out of this?
I think the major win for, I think this should be viewed much more as a win for Republicans. I think that Democrats got some messaging victories out of this, and they were able to drag it out in a way that made the president uncomfortable, and it's always bad for a party that's in power if you're unable to pass legislation. And the fact that it took 76 days of DHS effectively not being funded, that certainly looks bad for Republicans. So I think that is the big victory that Democrats get in what is, at the end of the day, more of a Republican victory.
And now we see the president at the White House getting ready to sign this bill called the Secure America Act. Again, this is basically a way to fund ICE and also Border Patrol. We've heard him speak about how this is why he won in the first place. He says this is why he won 2 elections, immigration. And so what we're seeing here is him at the White House getting ready to sign the bill. He's had a lot to say. This is supposed to just be a bill signing, but he's had a lot to say so far. Zach, I want to go back to what we mentioned earlier. This is about the war with Iran, because right now we're still waiting for President Trump to sign that bill, and he hasn't done so yet. We know, obviously, that both sides, the U.S. and Iran, are going back and forth, attacking each other. And I asked you a question as to where we are right now with the negotiations. Is that still happening amidst all the fighting?
Mugo, I think that both sides would not mind an off-ramp at this point, but they're very much trapped. I think that largely we're in a similar position that we've been in for the past couple months here, except that, if anything, it's a step taken back. We did have a reprieve from the fighting for a while. We did have something of a ceasefire. At least most of the fighting had stopped. And now we've seen these images of bombs flying back and forth. I think that part of the difficulty here is it's unclear whether or not Iran actually meant to take down that U.S. Apache helicopter that really brought an end to the ceasefire that was going on. But I think that the administration saw really no option other than to respond with major force. Because if there's a possibility that Iran did that on purpose, it really opens the gates for them to attack us more. But it really is a difficult spot that I think the administration's in, and in some ways it's a difficult spot that the Iranians are in, as they also continue to fight with our close ally, Israel. So I think that the next step here is likely going to be that, if history is any measure of this, I think the most likely next step will be that as soon as President Trump gets some kind of indication that Iran wants to talk again or wants to make progress, we'll probably see some sort of temporary ceasefire again, because we've gone through this several times. It in some ways feels like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, we'll see what comes next in all this. Zak Hudak, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. So again, right now what you are looking at is President Trump at the White House. He is getting ready to sign the Secure America Act. That bill basically funds ICE and also Border Patrol. This is something the president has been working toward for a long time now, and it seems like he's about to get that done.